during board training you did not get one of the memos because you were like, neither? Yes. It is an opposite attract sort of thing. It is a great sex sort of thing. It is a no thinking sort of thing. It is wonderful, wonderful, until one June day, Alma discovers that you are also fucking this beautiful freshman girl named Lakshmi. Discovers the fucking of Lakshmi because she, Alma, opens your journal and reads. Alma waits for you on the front stoop, and when you pull up in her Saturn and notice your journal in her hand, your heart plunges through you like a fat bandit through a hangman's trap. You take your time turning off the car. You are overwhelmed by a pelagic sadness. Sadness at being caught, at the incontrovertible knowledge that Alma will never forgive you. You stare at her incredible legs, and between them to that even more incredible popola that you have loved so constantly these last 2 years. Only when Alma starts walking over in anger do you finally get out. You dance across the lawn, powered by the last fumes of your outrageous sinvergüenceria. Hey, muñeca, you say, prevaricating to the end. When Alma starts shrieking at you, you ask her, darling, whatever is the matter? Alma calls you a cocksucker, a punk motherfucker, and a fake-ass Dominican. She claims you have a little penis, no penis, and worst of all, that you like curry pussy, which really is unfair, you try to explain, since Lakshmi is from Guyana, but Alma is not listening. Instead of lowering your head and hopping to it like a man, you pick up the journal as one might hold a baby's beshattered diaper, as one might pinch a recently benutted condom. You glance at the offending pages, then you look at her and smile a smile your dissembling face will remember until the day you die. Baby, you say, baby, this is part of my novel. And this is how you lose her. Thank you. So, one more little piece to go. Someone else ask, speak, say something, so you don't have to listen to me all night. Yeah, in the brand.
Hi. I can speak a little louder.
Just go ahead,
I've been teaching your work for years. I teach at Borough Manhattan Community College. We represent the three of us here.
Thank you.
How does it feel to know that, at least through just me, hundreds, if not more, Dominican students and otherwise are reading your work and have been where you have been? I've been where you've been. They've been where you've been. How does that feel? Really, how does it feel as an author to know this particular audience is reading your work?
I think in general, first of all, thank you. Guys, as a writer, especially if you're like a writer of color, chances are no one's reading your shit if it wasn't for teachers. That's just the way it works. Really, it's the way it works. The teachers are the ones that keep you alive, whether it's in the high school and in the colleges. Guys, before any prize was won, there was the people who in some ways kept the books in motion. And so the enormous gratitude that you owe goes beyond anything that you could possibly repay. As far as what does it mean, how does it feel, you have to understand, part of the reason that I will put up with 10 years of writing, 11 years of writing, is because there is this dream that drives me. a dream which, seems incredibly foolish when you're in the process, that you can be of some use, that your art in some ways can speak to a person the way that no one else has been able to speak to them. I know for me as a young person when I was growing up, I didn't have any Dominican writers in English. I wasn't exposed to any of it. Part of what drives me as a writer is the fact that I was in some ways bereft of that private communion that one gets from a writer who you feel speaks to you directly. And I think anyone can enjoy a book and anyone can feel that communion with any writer. I mean, we feel communion with writers who have been alive for 2,000 or 3,000 years. But when you come from a group like my group, like a group from the Dominican diaspora, a group that in many ways has been so distorted and so misunderstood, and it is in its first generations of immigration, when everything seems so incredibly difficult, so incredibly lonely, when you turn on the TV and there's not many people who look like you look at the bookshelves and everything seems to be about everybody but you, when you go to the movie theaters and there's not much by way of sort of an honest or an interesting representation, I think that the little stuff goes a long way. Yeah, the little stuff goes a long way. I mean, I always repeat this story, but it's worth sort of saying, is that, guys, I came up in a time where a poor Dominican kid, immigrant kid, didn't have any mirrors. There was nothing in the world that reflected me back. Things have changed, of course. My nephews have it a lot better than I do, but I grew up in a world just nothing reflected me back. I looked out at the world, my image was out, I looked and nothing came back to me. And it's an interesting thing. I tell people this a lot, it bears repetition, is that, guys, it's no accident that sort of classic monsters of mythology tend to have no reflections. Yeah. It's no accident that this is something that people have thought about at a mythic level. But you can tell a monster because it doesn't cast a reflection in the mirror. Yeah. And I think that in my case, growing up, not having reflections didn't signify that I was a monster. But the best way that you can take young people and make them feel monstrous is give them a world and give them a society where they have no reflections, where nothing in the world reflects them back. I think that's a monstrous feeling to have. And for those of you who grew up in a world where you always had reflections back, you can't imagine what that might feel like. And I guess part of what drives me, part of why I feel that I'm glad that somebody's reading it, but more specifically, I'm glad that kids who grew up like me might be reading it, is because I felt like I needed reflections, and I kind of hope that this helps somebody in that way. Yeah. There's a hand all the way in the back. Okay.
So, are you planning to do a film on an Oscar, and what would be important to you in the making of this film?
Yeah, a film on Oscar. I don't have any money. If I was like an ill billionaire, I would have had like 3 different films and had motherfuckers do American Idol on it. Which one they like the most. So I don't have any money. God knows if anything like this would ever happen. I certainly think if you're going to make a movie about this novel, you hope, A, that they'll cast some Dominicans. And B, you hope that the shit will be playful. Because I feel like for everything that happens in this novel, at least it's kind of a playful novel. I mean, I think I don't know. And I think that if you take this book and you film it and you take it too seriously, you lose what I would consider at least 2/3 of the energy. I feel like 2/3 of the book's energy have to do with this narrator who, even though he's writing about just horrific stuff, can't repress or hide how much he believes in life and how much he just plays. I mean, he will not stop playing. So I guess that, yeah. And I think they should cast Oscar de la Renta as no, for real, I think they should cast Oscar de la Renta as Trujillo. He actually, no, that's not a joke. He looks just like a kid. So, really, if you just tan him up a little bit,